Madam Speaker, on a procedural matter, please. May I get an explanation as who the stranger in the chamber is? Because under conventions, a camera should not be arbitrarily taking pictures of members. Certainly, I'm not in agreement with it. Is he a member of GIS?
Thank you. I do apologize. I failed to make an announcement earlier this morning to advise members that I have granted permission to the gentleman who is employed by GIS just for today and tomorrow to take some photographs on behalf of the government as they are rolling out a new communications plan to enhance the engagement with the public in relation to our Parliament.
Madam Speaker, with the greatest respect, I take your apology and I accept your explanation. But one ought to remember that this is the People's House. There's a government and an opposition, and a camera person is not allowed to arbitrarily have their camera roaming around the place. Otherwise, we'll end up with what we had on 2 occasions before, unsanctimonious photo of a member of Parliament whilst not speaking in the picture circulating on social media. That's the reason the rules are there.
I thank the Honourable Minister. If it is the wish of the Parliament for me to ask the photographer to leave, I can do so. I'll be advised by all members on their wishes.
Can I ask, what is the purpose of the photos?
Thank you, Honourable Member for West Bay West. The purpose of the photos are being used for government informational services. They are rolling out a communication plan, particularly in relation to the proceedings of Parliament. And I think today was the first commencement. I do apologize, I failed to announce it earlier. However, if members wish for me to ask the photographer to leave and we can resume this later, I'll be guided. Honourable Premier.
Madam Speaker, I was generally aware of the proposal for GIS to be involved with a different approach in terms of communication of the activities of Parliament for the benefit of the people of the country. Obviously, I wasn't aware of all the specific details of it, but clearly you have given permission for the photographer to be here. I equally do not wish to stand in the way of members generally if there's a level of discomfort, but I would ask that we give the opportunity to this new communications plan for the benefit of both the opposition as well as the government to work. And of course, you can give the guidelines that you think fit, and perhaps members might have the opportunity to indicate to you what sort of guidelines you want. I understand the concerns about the potential for someone to be taking a picture of activities on someone's desk or a note that's written or something like that. But I think the attempt is laudable in the sense that it is an attempt to communicate more fully to the people of the country, for the betterment of the people of the country, exactly what the activities of Parliament are, and so they're fully aware and better informed. I think we all would welcome the opportunity for that to happen, because there's often a complaint that there's not enough communication from the members of the public. But of course, we do have concerns, and I'm not quite sure at this point how to resolve that, other than perhaps asking more senior members with longer service to express their views.
The Honourable Minister of Tourism and Transport.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just rise to add a little bit of input to the current matter at hand. not from the well-experienced perspective, because this is only my second term, but from a media perspective. You, as the Honourable Speaker, have outlined that this is a government agency, a contracted worker on their behalf. Therefore, the government agency will be responsible for the content of those pictures, as well as to the distribution of which pictures would be the most appropriate. I think we should have enough confidence within our own government information services that those files will be kept in a protective manner, and whatever ones are distributed will be distributed in a very digested way. Madam Speaker, I do agree that we should be doing better with our media exposure so people can see that we are working hard in this Honourable House, and I, as member of this government, do not would want to deny the gentleman as a Caymanian for getting this job opportunity for these 2 days. He's a business owner of his own, contracted by GIS. I laud them for using Caymanians to do this job, and I would hate to know that we, based on our own fears of something potentially negative happening, take away that opportunity from the gentleman. Again, I say, once this is contracted by the Cayman Islands Government Information Services, we should feel comforted that those pictures that are taken are within the government's remit, and therefore any picture of a person, hypothetically speaking, getting caught in a yawn or rubbing their eye or something like that wouldn't get out on social media. So I think it should be allowed. That's my humble input, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I beg your indulgence. For some reason, it seems that certain persons have to elucidate on matters whether or not they have the experience or the intellectual capacity. That is not the case this morning. I rise purely on a procedural matter. Has nothing to do whether he's Caymanian, has absolutely nothing to do whether he's working with GIS. In fact, had he had on the required badge that is required by the rules there, the question would not have to been asked. He would have been properly briefed that when you're in Parliament, despite the fact that some people don't seem to recognize the importance and significance of a parliamentary democracy, you have to wear the badge, and he should have been briefed that you only take pictures of a member when he or she is standing on the feet. This is not a Hollywood Hall. This is not a PR stunt. It's the seat of democracy, and there are rules and conventions for different reasons. I have absolutely no lack of confidence in GIS and their capability to take photographs and do it the right way. But this is a House of Parliament, and as much as we would like to think so, it's not a House of Government. There's a government and there's an opposition, and it has to be seen. Perception becomes actuality. And for the past several months, what has obtained in this House is a erosion greater than what obtains at West Bay Beach when it comes to parliamentary sanctity and democracy. And I wish I did not have to stand to say it, but somebody has to say it.
I thank the member for her sound words. We all can appreciate her experience here. What I will do, I've already granted the member from GIS permission to take photographs, but I will ask for the parliamentary page to just have a word with him to run back over the rules which were provided. Perhaps he did not get a copy of them, and also to provide him with a badge, although it's a bit after the fact, but just so that we can have going forward. And I thank the member for her concerns. Does anyone else wish to speak on this matter?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Oh, go ahead. I give way.
Honourable member
Thank you,
from
Madam
Medway.
Speaker. I just want to say a few things which I think may have been forgotten. As the Honourable Minister who spoke, Minister for Education who spoke, said, Parliament is not an agency of the Cayman Islands government. We battle, some of us in here, the member from West Bay West, the minister who spoke herself, some of us other members, for years to give this Parliament by legislation the autonomy which the principles of Westminster government properly require. This Parliament is now run by a Parliamentary Management Commission. Decisions which involve matters such as this are decisions which properly ought to be taken by the Parliament Management Commission, which is made up of members of both sides of the House. The member for Education is absolutely right. What I have seen happening over this term is a situation where the government is making decisions which are properly the province of the Parliamentary Management Commission. So I don't want to get into this. I had no idea what was transpiring, but I just want us all to remember that we have a duty, not just to represent our people on matters related to their constituencies and broader policies, but we have an overriding responsibility to continue the development and preservation of this sacred concept called parliamentary democracy. For we look around the world and we see how that is being eroded in other places like the United States, where people would have thought it's not possible for democracy itself to be at stake. So I think, Madam Speaker, you are brand new at this. I certainly lay no blame at your feet. But I just want us all to remember that when it comes to matters involving the House at that sort of level, it is the Parliamentary Management Commission that should be involved and should take those sort of decisions. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Does the Honourable Leader of the Opposition still wish to speak?
No, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Before we move on, I just want to remind the photographer, if you could just please refrain from taking photographs of the members only unless they are standing. And then we will have a conversation when we break for lunch.